trapped on a high-speed train, with bloodthirsty zombies closing in fast. Cities are falling, chaos is everywhere, and survival is the only thing that matters. In Train to Busan, a desperate father, a brave little girl, and a group of strangers must fight tooth and nail against the undead, with no escape, no backup, and no second chances. This is more than a zombie movie. This is non-stop, pulse-pounding terror on rails. So grab your seat, hold your breath, and don't blink, because the ride is about to begin. Let's dive into the insane world of Train to Busan. The movie opens with a truck approaching a toll gate where a hazmat cleanup crew is at work. The driver complains about the delay, and one of the workers casually explains that a minor leak occurred at a nearby nuclear plant. They're just taking precautions. With a shrug, the driver continues on. But moments later, distracted by a phone call, he slams into a deer on the road. He gets out to inspect the damage, finds the animal lifeless, and drives away. Behind him, the deer twitches, then rises, bloodied eyes glowing. It's alive, but not normal. Meanwhile, in the heart of Seoul, Seok-woo, a high-powered fund manager, is buried in work. He barely has time for his young daughter, Suwon, and even forgets he already gave her the same birthday present last year. Hurt but composed, Suwon quietly tells him she wants to visit her mother in Busan. Initially reluctant, Seok-woo caves after his mother shows him a heartbreaking video of Suwon's school performance where she stops singing mid-song, likely because her father didn't show up. Guilt-ridden, he books tickets for the next morning on the KTX high-speed train to Busan. At dawn, Seok-woo drives Suwon to the station. On the way, they pass ambulances and police cars speeding in the opposite direction. Confused, he spots smoke rising from a distant building engulfed in flames. Something's wrong, but he presses on. At the station, they board the train along with an eclectic mix of passengers. The tough, street-smart Sang-hwa and his pregnant wife Seong-kyung, a high school baseball team, an arrogant CEO named Young-suk, two elderly sisters, and a homeless man who looks disturbed, almost like he's seen death itself. Just before departure, a young woman stumbles onto the train, hiding a massive bite wound on her leg. As the train pulls away, the station manager catches sight of a crowd screaming in terror, but before he can react, he's mauled by a deranged attacker. Suwon witnesses it all through the train window, her young face filling with fear. Shaken, she heads to the restroom. Elsewhere on the train, a crew member finds the bitten woman writhing in pain. But before she can help, the woman convulses and transforms into something monstrous. She lunges at the attendant, biting his neck, and the infection spreads instantly. The chaos spills into the baseball team's car. Within seconds, the undead overrun them, tearing through players like wild animals. Only 4 students manage to escape. Yongguk, a baseball player, Jin-hee, the girl he likes, and 2 unnamed boys barely clinging to survival as horror takes over the train. The outbreak spreads like wildfire. The infected storm through the lower compartments of the train, tearing into anyone in their path. Suwon, unaware of the chaos, wanders toward the danger while looking for a restroom. Meanwhile, Seok-woo wakes to find her seat empty. Panic instantly sets in. Just then, a colleague calls him, warning that violent riots are erupting all over South Korea. Before Seok-woo can process this, a stampede of terrified passengers from the lower cars rushes past, screaming as they flee the carnage. Realizing Suwon could be in danger, Seok-woo bolts in the opposite direction. He finds her frozen in fear, just as a swarm of zombies barrels toward her. He grabs her and runs, the undead close on their heels. They make it back to their compartment, barely managing to block the door. In the chaos, Seok-woo nearly shuts out Sang-hwa and his pregnant wife, Seong-kyung. The group scrambles to barricade the door. That's when they realize something strange. The zombies don't seem to know how to open doors. They attack only when they can see or hear their prey. Acting quickly, Seong-kyung covers the glass with water and newspaper, and just like that, the monsters quiet down. Out of sight, out of mind.
괜찮아?
Over the train's radio, the conductor announces a critical change. The KTX will no longer head to Busan, but instead stop at Daegu, where military forces are stationed. But hope quickly begins to fade. Young-suk, the selfish CEO, contacts his team to confirm what's happening in Daegu. Seok-woo overhears and realizes all passengers will likely be forced into quarantine. Refusing to take the risk, he secretly calls a colleague and arranges for a private pickup at the east exit of Daegu Station for just him and Suwon. When the train finally pulls into the eerily deserted station, Seok-woo guides Suwon toward the east gate while the other survivors head to the main exit. Unbeknownst to him, the homeless man overheard the call and began following them. The three of them move down a desolate hallway. In the distance, they spot a soldier. Seok-woo breathes a sigh of relief. He tells Suwon to wait while he rushes ahead to get help. But as he gets closer, he sees the truth. The soldier is wounded, whispering for help. Before they can react, a wave of infected soldiers rounds the corner, trampling their comrade and devouring him alive. As the remaining survivors exit through the main gate, they spot a formation of soldiers at the base of the escalator. But hope instantly turns to horror. The troops are all infected. The military deployment has completely failed. Chaos erupts as the survivors scramble to retreat, but several are caught, mauled, and turned into zombies in a matter of seconds. Inside the station, Seok-woo sees the horde closing in and urges Suwon to run. She sprints ahead and is quickly swept up by Seong-kyung and Sang-hwa, who are fleeing back toward the train with the rest. Seong-kyung lifts Suwon and rushes toward the platform. Meanwhile, Seok-woo, Sang-hwa, Young-guk, and two other baseball players stay behind to hold off the infected. After sealing the station doors behind them, they race to catch the departing train, but tragedy strikes. As Young-guk's teammates reach the platform, they are overrun and infected. Jin-hee, Young-suk, and a handful of others are already back on the train. Seong-kyung and Suwon are just boarding when a glass sky bridge above the platform shatters, dropping a horde of zombies onto the platform like a swarm of demons. In-gil and Jung-gil are caught in the middle. A zombie falls between them, and in the chaos, Jung-gil is dragged away. In-gil, Seong-kyung, and Suwon manage to flee to the train, but not without heartbreak. The group splits. Seong-kyung, Suwon, In-gil, and the homeless man barricade themselves in a restroom in one of the lower infected compartments. Meanwhile, Seok-woo, Sang-hwa, and Young-guk reach a safe car. Sang-hwa immediately calls Seong-kyung and learns she's trapped with others in the bathroom. Refusing to leave them behind, the men push through the zombie-infested compartments to save them. As they fight their way forward, they discover a crucial weakness. Zombies are blind in the darkness and only respond to sound. Using this to their advantage, they begin disabling the train lights and making noise in controlled directions, buying time to slip through unnoticed. After a brutal struggle, they finally reach and rescue the trapped group. They all race toward the front of the train, hoping to join the survivors already there, Young-suk, Jin-hee, Jung-gil, and the train attendant. Young-guk sends Jin-hee a message to announce their rescue mission's success. But instead of joy, the front group responds with fear. Terrified of infection, they unanimously decide to lock the compartment doors, leaving their friends to die. Young-guk pounds on the door as Seok-woo and Sang-hwa desperately hold back the advancing zombies. But time is running out. Realizing there's no way to hold them off, Sang-hwa makes a gut-wrenching choice. He tells Seok-woo to protect his wife and child, then stays behind to delay the horde. Seok-woo, his face streaked with tears, apologizes before pulling Seong-kyung and Suwon away. In his final moments, Sang-hwa uses his bare strength to fend off the undead. Before he's consumed, he whispers the name he had chosen for his unborn child to his wife, a name that will never be forgotten. The locked door is finally breached, and the desperate group piles into the next safe compartment. There's a second internal door they manage to shut, but In-gil lags, too slow to escape. She's grabbed and torn apart by the zombies. Seok-woo, realizing that both Sang-hwa and In-gil might have survived if the others hadn't blocked the door, confronts Young-suk in a rage. He punches him, demanding to know why he acted so selfishly. But Young-suk deflects the blame, lying to the others and claiming that Seok-woo and his group are infected. His lie spreads fear among the compartment's original occupants. Driven by paranoia, they force Seok-woo, Jin-hee, Young-guk, Sung-kyung, Suwon, and the others back into the small passageway between cars. Once the group is out, Young-suk and the others cruelly tie the door shut using neckties and shirts, sealing them off. Inside the compartment, Young-gil sits in silent grief. Watching her sister die unnecessarily has shaken her to the core. As she stares through the door window, she sees In-gil, now a zombie, trapped among the crowd. With tears in her eyes, Jung-gil speaks to her sister softly, saying she lived a long, happy life. But she knows her death was caused by the cold-hearted selfishness of those in the compartment. Overcome by sorrow and guilt, Young-gil makes a fateful decision. She opens the door. In seconds, the zombies flood in. Screams erupt as the so-called safe compartment is overrun. From the hallway, Seok-woo and the others watch in horror. Shadows of frantic passengers clawing at the sealed glass door flicker like a nightmare as the infected tear them apart. It's a devastating sight. Those who condemned others are now facing the same merciless fate. Meanwhile, over the radio, the conductor receives some hope. The zombie outbreak has been contained in Busan. But just as the train nears a station before the city, a pile of wreckage on the tracks halts its progress. The conductor makes an announcement, informing the remaining survivors that he will find another train on a clear track to continue to Busan. He urges them to follow him and wishes them luck, because now they'll have to leave the safety of the train and cross a zombie-infested area on foot. He leaves the cockpit, carefully navigating through debris until he finds a path that leads to a freight train. After starting it up, he begins moving it slowly down the line, scanning for any remaining survivors who might still have a chance. Seok-woo and the remaining survivors get off the train, unaware that Young-suk has survived the zombie attack in the previous compartment by hiding in a bathroom. Hearing the conductor's announcement about the freight train, he too escapes and begins making his way out, only to find himself still being pursued by zombies. Meanwhile, Seok-woo, Sung-kyung, Suwon, the homeless man, Jin-hee, and Young-guk are navigating through the wreckage to reach the freight train. Suddenly, a burning cargo car hurtles toward them, crashing violently into a nearby train and blocking their path. Jin-hee and Young-guk are separated from the group and must board another train car to find a way across. Unseen by them, Young-suk follows close behind, still being chased. When he catches up, he cruelly throws Jin-hee behind him to the zombie in order to save himself. Young-guk fights off the infected attacker, but collapses, holding Jin-hee in his arms as she trembles and gasps. Young-suk doesn't look back. He opens the next door and bolts toward the freight train. Jin-hee begins to turn, and as tears stream down Young-guk's face, he tells her how sorry he is, that he never told her how he truly felt. Moments later, she fully turns and savagely bites into him. Further down the track, Young-suk sprints toward the freight train but twists his ankle, stumbling hard. A zombie bites him on the leg. The conductor, having spotted him, jumps down to help. But instead of accepting the help, Young-suk betrays him, grabbing the conductor and tossing him to the approaching zombies, just as he had done to Jin-hee. Ignoring the conductor's cries for mercy, Young-suk climbs aboard the train alone. Elsewhere, Seok-woo, Suwon, Sung-kyung, and the homeless man are trapped beneath a derailed car swarming with zombies. The windows above them creak ominously, threatening to shatter. Seok-woo spots a small gap under the wreckage and quickly crawls through. But before the others can follow, part of the train collapses, sealing the path. The impact shatters a window, and zombies begin crawling toward them. In an act of self-sacrifice, the homeless man throws himself at the zombies, buying Seok-woo just enough time to clear the debris. He helps Sung-kyung and Suwon escape, and they race toward the freight train, climbing aboard from the outside. Seok-woo heads to the engine compartment, but as he approaches, he sees Young-suk already in the conductor's seat. Young-suk's eyes are clouded, his body infected, his mind fading. He closes the door at first, but then reopens it. Though not fully transformed, the virus has taken hold of his body. Speaking like a frightened child, Young-suk asks Seok-woo to take him home to Busan. He mutters his mother's name and address, his voice trembling with innocence. Seok-woo, heartbroken, tells him the truth. He's infected. Young-suk is briefly stunned and begins to cry. But within moments, the man who once pleaded for his life vanishes, replaced by the mindless hunger of a zombie. Young-suk, now fully transformed into a zombie, lunges at Seok-woo, and a brutal fight breaks out atop the moving train. Seok-woo struggles to fend him off, nearly falling over the edge. When Young-suk hears Suwon's screams from the other side of the train platform, he turns his attention toward her and Seong-kyung. But Seok-woo intercepts him just in time. In the struggle, Young-suk bites Seok-woo's hand, sealing his fate. With one final effort, Seok-woo hurls the infected Young-suk off the train. Realizing that he has been bitten and will soon turn, Seok-woo rushes to the cockpit where he places Suwon and Seong-kyung, giving them quick instructions on how to operate the brakes once they reach Busan Station. He tries to leave quietly, but Suwon begs him not to go. Through tears, she tells him how she couldn't finish singing Aloha O during her school performance because he wasn't in the audience. She had been saving it for him. Seok-woo's heart breaks as they say goodbye, holding her small hands one last time before gently placing them down and locking himself outside the cockpit. Suwon breaks down, screaming for her father to come back, but the door remains closed. As the infection takes hold, Seok-woo stumbles toward the end of the train car, clutching his bleeding hand and crying silently. In the cockpit, Suwon sobs uncontrollably while Seong-kyung holds her. Step by step, Seok-woo begins to lose control, his mind flashing back to the moment Suwon was born, the first time he held her tiny fingers and toes. As these final memories flood his mind, the virus overpowers him. His eyes turn white, his veins darken, and his body twitches. Yet, just before the transformation is complete, he smiles softly at the sky, thinking of his daughter, and then lets himself fall off the train and onto the tracks. Whether he jumped to protect them or fell as a result of the infection remains uncertain. Eventually, the train arrives at a dark tunnel just before the Busan station, but the track is blocked by debris. Seong-kyung and Suwon disembark and begin walking cautiously through the tunnel. On the other side, soldiers from the Busan military monitor the area. Unable to confirm in the darkness whether the approaching figures are infected, the commander orders the sniper to shoot. Just as the sniper prepares to pull the trigger, Suwon begins singing,